Today I'm going to explain what paradoxical treatments for anxiety conditions are and why they work. And if you're struggling with anxiety, including health anxiety, panic disorder, or agoraphobia, then you clearly don't want to have anxiety. And you're trying to do certain things, maybe you're avoiding certain situations to not have it. If you are, this is a mode of resistance. So many of us get this wrong. We hear different advice from different people to try various things to not feel anxious. You might buy things like essential oils, try breathing techniques, maybe you try meditation or yoga, tapping, hypnosis, like you name it. Unfortunately, when these methods are used during times of high anxiety, it may bring the anxiety down in the short run, but in the long run, it trains your brain to fear anxiety symptoms when it notices them in your body. And that not only causes your brain to be hypersensitive to anxiety symptoms, it can actually intensify those symptoms. And if an anxiety symptoms scare you enough, the brain can actually link it and connect the neurons of that bodily sensation to your fight or flight or fear response. And that means that when your brain notices sensations that scare you, let's say a rapid heartbeat, it can automatically trigger your fight or flight response even when you're not feeling anxious at the time. Now, there are loads of physical symptoms caused by anxiety. They include things like palpitations, a pounding heart, accelerated heart rate, sweating, trembling or shaking, sensations of shortness of breath or smothering, feeling of choking or a lump in the throat, chest pain, chest discomfort, nausea, abdominal distress, feeling dizzy, unsteady, lightheaded, faint, derealization or depersonalization feelings, a fear of losing control or going crazy, a fear of dying, numbness, tingling sensations, chills or hot flashes. Even though these symptoms can be very uncomfortable, none of them are harmful or dangerous. So let's talk about how to effectively treat anxiety conditions. Your main goal is to train your brain that you're not scared of anxiety symptoms. And if you do that, your fight or flight reaction, your fear response, and your nervous system will calm down without reinforcing the anxiety or the panic cycle. Now, we accomplish that goal paradoxically. Instead of trying to not have those symptoms and avoid situations or do certain things to feel safe and calm down, we move towards the anxiety and allow the anxiety symptoms. So this word allow, it confuses a lot of people. So I want to talk about what this means in treating your symptoms. I look at the term allow to mean non-reactive, non-judgmental. And many people cite the psychiatrist Claire Weeks in the 1970s as one of the first to use this recommended strategy of moving toward the panic. Now, her techniques have been shown to be highly effective in imaging studies today. And Dr. Weeks stressed leaving your mind in a very natural state during high anxiety versus doing anything to resist or avoid the symptoms. She emphasized learning to accept and allow whatever you experience, whether it's nausea, dizziness, DPDR, feelings of unreality, difficulty catching a breath, whatever it is for you. Then she suggests floating through the anxiety or panic, just letting time pass. You experience the physical and the mental sensations. You don't attach a scary catastrophizing story to it. Now, in working with people in my practice and in my courses, I teach paradoxical strategies, and I begin this with a neutral stance of allowing the symptoms to come and go as they please. And then I encourage people to take a step closer to their fear by intentionally welcoming their symptoms. You can conceptualize that if allow is neutral, then welcoming is kind of moving one step closer. I'm welcoming that lump in my throat or my internal tremors to be there today. You can stay as long as they want. Now, by saying that to myself, I'm sending a message of safety to my brain. It's not a, oh no, scary message about the symptoms. It's more of, a welcoming, a kinder, softer approach. Now, the next step I use for paradoxical treatment comes from Dr. Reed Wilson. He suggests adding a positive thought like, oh good, I'm feeling anxious, I want that. And this is a perfect opportunity to practice. And then he suggests that we say something like, bring it on, anxiety, bring it on, heart palpitations, bring it on, DPDR, bring it on, nausea. Make me as nauseous as you possibly can. Give me the best that you've got. This is a provocative approach, right? But boy, does it work. It's stepping you closer to the fear, closer to the anxiety, but you're in control. Now, the next paradoxical treatment involves stepping toward your fear by using interoceptive exercises or exposures. Here, you're intentionally mimicking or recreating the symptom that you fear. For example, if you fear certain heart movements or rapid breathing, you might practice running in place or stepping up with your knees up high for 2 minutes. Now, there are particular ways of doing these exercises, and I walk you through those steps in my panic course that you can find at pagepradco.com. And the final paradoxical method of treating anxiety disorder involves doing the activities and intentionally placing yourself in situations that you may have avoided because they triggered your anxiety or panic in the past. But while doing these exposures, you may use any or all of the paradoxical approaches I reviewed, including allowing and welcoming techniques, while of course practicing response prevention and slowly eliminating all of those behaviors that you do to calm down or make yourself feel safe. Now, I've borrowed some elements from Dr. Claire Weeks and Dr. Reed Wilson, and I've borrowed the best parts of their approaches, and I've come up with my own technique that I use, and I call it the F.A.C.E approach. I left you a PDF reviewing that technique below. So I hope you now have a better idea about what paradoxical methods of treating anxiety are and why we use the term allow, and why it's best to say yes to anxiety and be an anxiety seeker and move towards your fear. Until next time, I'll see you in session. Take care. Bye-bye.